episode of the Whiteboard Game, the boys discuss their top 200 albums of all time.
Right, welcome to the 6th episode of the Whiteboard Game podcast.
Woo!
With me, Chris, and...
With me, Fred Drick. One of the two.
Fred or Rick?
Don't be facetious. No, Frederick or Fred. I mean, look, I can't hear them talk to me, so I don't care. They can call me Stephen if they want. I won't know.
You choose.
Is
It's like a You Choose Your Adventure book, but
book
just
names.
like an audio version.
Yeah.
So it's probably much less interesting.
Much less effective, yeah.
But yeah, we got the window open, so you might be able to hear some outdoor things going on.
Some parakeet ghostings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Might add to the recording.
Mm.
Yeah, this is episode 6. If you're a first-time listener, this is a game where we share music with each other, and we have to make the other person guess what we've chosen.
Not in a torturous way.
It's not in a
in a fun way.
It hasn't been yet. There may
That's
get
true.
to a point where one of us doesn't want to do it anymore.
I just give you 10 Muse songs back to back. That may be cruel.
But yeah, so that's the game, and you have to answer it in a format of artist or band or singer or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the title of the song, the genre of the song, and the year it came out in, and we mark accordingly. This month's one is one we do every so often. Do you want to explain what it is?
I can do, yes. I think we currently do it. It's every third game, is it? Is that
I think
what
so,
we do?
yeah.
So there was, I suppose, a website called Topsters, the original one. I'm fairly sure it still doesn't exist. It stopped existing because it would appear that the man behind the website is a bit of a loony, to
He
put
seems a
it
bit odd,
politely. Do your own research. I'll leave it there. But he has taken down the website, unfortunately. But there is an alternative version, so we do still have it. It's a website where you can format your favorite albums into charts, and we both have 2 of them, 100 albums long. So we've got a top 200 basically. And I do feel I need to say this every time because I do understand the point and the criticism. It's not so much to have a hierarchy or a ranking. I mean, it's interesting, and definitely I think everyone can sort of go, I prefer listening to this thing than this thing, or this is one of my favourite films. I like this film, but I prefer that one even more, that sort of thing. I think it's always been for me more so a record of being able to recall what I have listened to and most enjoyed, and then I get to also track how my taste changes as well, which is interesting.
Absolutely.
I do understand the criticisms of ranking music, and I do agree with them. I don't want to fall into this thing of sucking out the joy of music, listening to music only with the goals of being able to say I enjoyed that less than X sort of thing. But yeah, so those are the 2 websites. We both have a top 200, and we, in this every third game, which is today, we select 10 extracts. 9 of them are from those top 200 albums, and we have to guess, as Chris has said, all of those attributes, but then also the ranking. And we have a range either side. We're not callous. And there's one joker in there as well. That's normally something we may want to talk about, but that is external to that top 200.
Exactly. I think people who generally make topsters make it so that it's sort of like, these are, I don't know, however many albums, maybe like 25 albums that I've liked recently.
Yeah.
And they'll use it as that, maybe share it with people. That's
it's
been
the
like
best
for me.
Yeah, it's like the best way to define your taste as well, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a nice collage of things as well. I think, for me, it's it's interesting to rank things and see what you prefer, but ultimately it's just a cool collage of album art.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, we turn it into a game. There was an original Topster website.
Yeah, because that one that's got taken down is Topsters 2.
That was number 2, I think. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not sure if it was ran by the same guy. But we're on one which I think it calls itself Topsters 3.
Yeah. Which works. I think I did prefer 2, but this one works.
I like how 2 sort of had its chart. With 3, it has to be sort of like this many rows, this many columns.
Yeah, you set the parameters,
and
it changed the size in 2, which is such a simple thing, but like the higher up the album, the bigger the square it got for its album art, and that was a nice aesthetic.
I think I prefer 3 ultimately because it's it's so much easier to add albums which aren't on its system.
That's true.
And you can also add, you got movies and stuff that you can put on it as well.
Cool. Games.
It's pretty games, multifaceted, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to do. How have you been? Shall we go over briefly how we're doing?
How have I been? I'm fine. It's really warm here. We are, to those who aren't aware, we're situated in London. And sort of high 20s in London is not like high 20s in other parts of the world. It's clammy and humid and oppressive. I think when you're in other parts of the world, there's still a breeze and it probably feels much more liberating. But here, it just feels like the dark days are approacheth. And it personally always makes me feel quite nauseous. But I'm doing all right. I'm not a wimp. I'm fine.
Get over it, mate.
I will. We'll get rain eventually. It'll be fine. Hosepipe band, remember those days?
I do remember those days, yeah. Was that when it was so cold that they were like, you might break your hose or something?
Was it? I thought it was because it was so hot we hadn't had rainfall in weeks.
Oh, it might have been why.
And so it was like, don't use the hose. You're wasting water.
Oh, okay.
Which I guess always puzzles me a bit when you're in somewhere like as developed as London. I don't know where the water goes necessarily, but I don't work in the Thames Water. I wouldn't want to, especially at the moment.
No.
They are in trouble.
Yeah.
What else? Have I got anything else to say?
Well, I think with the weather, I think what the main difference for me is that this is a very damp country.
Yes.
And so when it's cold, it feels colder, and when it's hot, it feels hotter. And we're also a country that does not have air conditioning. Because we're traditionally cooler. We shouldn't need it.
I
think you get it in like important buildings, but not in like just regular housing.
Well, see, when I visited my other homeland of Cyprus a few years back, it does genuinely take you back that everywhere has it.
Yeah.
Everywhere has aircon because it's built for that temperature. But we've got houses that are built for insulation because it's traditionally cooler. And as I said to you earlier, that means when you have 3 or 4 days plus of hot weather, the brickwork and the insulation soaks that up. And so even if it is starting to get a bit cooler outside, you've still got an extra day or two inside of it feeling sticky, which is fun. Sleep. It affects the sleep. I struggle to sleep. Despite being 20 plus, I still feel anxious about abandoning the protection of any sort of duvet, because at that point people can come into the house, they can break in, and I'll be vulnerable. Beneath the duvet, it's like a lead apron.
It's a weird psychological thing, isn't it? Yeah. I too have the same thing. I can't sleep without even the thinnest of blankets.
Yes.
No, maybe I'm being a wimp and I just need to get over it.
Get over it, Chris. Get over it. Grow up.
I will.
I will. How are you anyhow?
I'm chill. Yeah, I'm also clammy. It's been colder today, but only insofar that it's been cloudy.
Yes.
For the most part, so that's been nicer. yeah, gig-wise, we've been playing some gigs.
Yes, we have, of course.
Some new developments. We now have a drum kit.
Yes.
We had one, and then it broke, and now we've got the same one, but it's new.
And it works.
Yeah, and we had our first rehearsal earlier, and it went well,
Mm-hmm.
and it all sounds really good, and we can't wait to play with it, and for people to hear us playing with it. And play some good music, hopefully, wherever our next gig is, which is...
Well, this is it. People will be likely to hear it if, at the time of release, these are still forthcoming, at the Hope and Anchor in Islington on the 17th of July, or alternatively, and this hasn't been announced anywhere, I don't think, but we know it's happening, through a fundraiser collaboration between Hotvox and Warchild, which will be uploaded around the middle of July as well, I think.
Okay.
But we will be recording that in just over a week's time at the time of recording at the time of recording this. And the drum machine should feature in that as well. If you do listen, if this happens to go out before the fundraiser has culminated, give your money to it. Give it your money. You can even get prizes like signed lyric sheets from us, bedtime stories from us, a signed origami crane.
I forgot we did that, yeah.
I will say, because I got a phone call from Hotvox and they said they asked for pricings and how many of each item do you want to offer. And I said, because I didn't want to put too much strain on you, I can't remember if I said 10 or 15. Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Thought we were going to say, it's okay if you do 100.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
No, that's chill, yeah. So that should be exciting. It will be for a good cause. You can ask, I think one of them is ask us just any question you want.
Yes.
Which will be nice.
I did, the person from Hotvox who I spoke to as well, she said that what she will do for the fundraising page is she will try and, whether she can do it or talk to someone in the Hotvox's tech department or whatever, to change like the chat function or whatever to have an option to, once you pay that amount for the question, to like a box to come up and say, what's your question? And then they drop that in, and then we just respond to it on the chat sort of thing.
Yeah, is there not like a, because I thought it would be nice if we had like a video message.
I mean, look, I can email her and I'll have a chat with her about that. So, yeah.
I think it'd be more bang for your buck as well.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, that's what we've got in the works. Very exciting stuff. But at the moment, we're gaming. So
at the moment, we're gaming. And there you go. There's the neighbour who has... We were only just talking about this before we started recording, how he likes to keep himself busy in his shed doing construction. You can probably hear a buzzsaw. That is him. It shouldn't distract too much, I don't think. But
hopefully it doesn't ruin your experience. And hopefully it doesn't last long either.
Well, exactly.
And ruin ours.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we get going?
Yes, we should. Who went first before... I should always check this before we start. I guessed first.
I'll guess first. Cool. Right. So, this first one, it was an interesting one. It was not like any of your other extracts.
I like that. That's good.
I was stuck on it for a little bit, but I ended up coming to the conclusion that my best guess was that it was a Caretaker song. The Caretaker.
Yes.
I went...
Leyland Kirby, is that it?
I think his name's Leyland Kirby,
Yeah.
Went for the very typical Caretaker styled title. It's Bleeding from My Mind.
That is a very Caretaker title.
All in lowercase except for the first word. I said Plunderphonics / Lounge Jazz 2017, and I presumed it might be around number 138.
Okay.
On your top stuff.
Okay, so I am going to say... I'll give you 2 points there.
Cheers.
I think this is very often the most common score in this game, because we normally get a point for year, because we've sussed that out by now. We can tell with production and genres, eras and stuff. And then genre is just... We've got that down, I think, on most part. I'm going to give it to you for Plunderphonics specifically. So this is an artist called Broken Light.
Mhm.
It is a song called, well, it's not really a song, a piece called Unearthed Relic. 2016, you're a year out, but that's to the point. You may recognise the phrase Death Dream.
We've come across this before, yeah.
I said dark ambient, or I mean Broken Transmission I think is probably the best option here, but Plunderphonics is close enough to Broken Transmission.
Cheers, thank you.
It's currently ranked 187, and this is an album called Endless Desert. Not Endless Dessert, that sounds much nicer.
Lovely.
Infinite Apple Crumble, I think that wouldn't get old.
Infinite Jelly.
Infinite Jelly, constantly refreshing, should be all right. This is when I've taken a step away from it. I need to go back to it and complete it. I came across this YouTube video saying, the darkest genre ever. I was like, okay, what's this? And I looked into it, and it's called Death Dream, and it's basically like ambient stuff, but it follows a narrative of something or someone dying or something. And is it the darkest genre ever? No. Is it kind of creepy? Yeah, it can be. I think the king of this for me, of Broken Transmission, that sort of sound, is Infinity Frequencies. But this is quite a good one. So I looked up a Death Dream like playlist on Rate Your Music, and this was on there, and this is one of the best ones off of it. It certainly sets an atmosphere, is what I'll say. If you're looking for something ambient that is a bit darker, a bit eerier, then this is a good way to go. I think that's all I have to say. Yeah, 2 points.
Cool. Cheers. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Now, yes, I am guessing now. Right. So this was a band constantly misjudged, your first extract, because a lot of people like to determine their quality based purely off most recent albums, which is not fair.
Okay.
This is a band called Coldplay. I think it's off Parachutes, but I am prepared to have embarrassed myself here, because I do love both of their first two albums. But I couldn't remember exactly which song it was. I've gone for Everything's Not Lost, which I think is the final track of Parachutes minus that like hidden one.
The hidden track, yeah.
I said 2002 Indie Folk. I don't know.
Yeah.
150th.
Okay. You're right in that it's Coldplay. I think that much was evident. It's actually the penultimate song off of Parachutes.
It's the other one.
You're one track off. We Never Change.
Is it that? Oh, okay.
Indie Rock 2. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2000, yeah.
No, that's not the bit I'm surprised at.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, this is at number 85.
Coldplay respect. Let's go.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's maybe one or two on my list which are ones which I expected you to do very well on. For example, this one, you've got 3 points.
Yes.
But I wanted to put there for other reasons.
Well, the discussion.
Yeah, course. Exactly. As an important, I think the one thing that interests me is a lot of people will call. I mean, even back in this sort of time, people would call Coldplay boring.
I don't get it. It's just good, like folk.
I don't
good.
think it's totally. I think. Do you know? I think it did them a disservice how big they got.
Yeah,
when it
probably
came
right.
to the boring comments.
Yeah,
because I mean, like they were massive, weren't they?
They still are.
I mean, they still exactly. Yeah, they've managed to keep it going.
But I mean, the rapidity of that rise was remarkable.
Yeah. And I think that was probably why they probably didn't make the most exciting music for that time, and so because it was so big, it was easy to call it boring. I don't find it too boring. I think this album, man, I listened to, weirdly, Rush of Blood to the Head last night for the first time.
For the first time.
So
not as good?
Cool. No, not as good.
Okay.
But, well, not on first listen.
Okay.
I mean, that's another thing I wanted to mention about this one was that I probably listened to Parachutes quite a while ago, maybe even like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
It's never been this high, has it?
No. I mean, it wasn't even on my top stuff for a good amount of time. Because I remember when I first listened to it, I thought, it's okay, but I don't really care so much for it. And I remember when at that first sort of point, I think that was around the time where I think you liked it a decent amount. And so I thought I listened to it quite a few times. None of the times it clicked. It's only been recently where I've come back to it and gone, actually, I really like this.
Yeah.
And it's weird how that happens.
Sometimes it does.
I don't know, I guess your tastes change and stuff. You hear things in songs that you didn't before. And I find that very interesting about music in general.
Yeah.
That you can listen to something and then 2 years later go, oh, I don't know why I didn't like this the first time. I actually really enjoy it.
Can't wait for that to happen with our own songs, when in a year's time we go, why did we write this?
Yeah. Well, people will actually start liking it as well. Who knows?
BBC Radio is coming. It's coming.
Yes. So it was We Never Change. I said indie rock. Came out in 2000. And I put number 85.
Very high.
It's
very high. I didn't expect it to be that high.
For a Coldplay album, it's quite high.
It's in the top 100. I never would have thought.
Yeah.
I thought it would have grown on you. I thought 150 was generous when I put that in my answer.
Well, I realised, I like most of these songs. I really enjoy listening to it.
Do you have a favourite of the album? Or favourite at the moment, I suppose?
I mean, Sparks is great.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I might be inclined to say Spies, though.
Yeah.
I find Spies, for me, is the most underrated one.
Yep, I think that's fair.
We Never Change as well is also one that I really like. Again, it's one of those albums where you go, oh, I like this, but also like this, and this, and this. Which I suppose it's why it's on our top still, right?
Exactly.
It's not one song that I can pick out and go, that's my favourite. I'd recommend anybody listen to it. It's a good, decent album. Again, they have waned a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Recently, but that doesn't, discredit the merit we find in a lot of these older stuff that they have. So,
of course.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame they abandoned that sound for something, I suppose, more conventionally poppy, is what I'd say.
Yeah. I guess they were toying with that for quite a bit, and then sort of around the 2010s they went full in.
Yeah.
Still want to listen to Viva La Vida.
I need to do Viva La Vida. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways.
Dun, 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 dun.
Your next one, I presumed it was a Peter Gabriel one, so it sounded like him. And it sounded like his sort of style around the 80s sort of thing. I'm trying to listen to it now, because I vaguely remember it being sort of Christ-like, not like in sound, but in what he's saying. The body and the flesh was one thing he said, and I thought, and I'm not sure if this is something we mentioned before, but he's got his album Passion.
Yes,
which was for
soundtrack for Last Temptation of Christ.
Last Temptation, okay,
the Scorsese film.
And so I guess around that time that I think that album came out, and I guess it was called Till the Cake Is Cut. I said synth pop / art pop, 1989, and I went high, number 92.
2 points.
Cheers.
2 points. It is Peter Gabriel. I will preface this now by saying, whenever I get to a Topster game and I'm struggling to get that one extra extract in, I know I've got about, goodness knows, 10 Peter Gabriel albums across the two Topsters. It's always a good bet, because at the very least, you might then have at least the challenge of which album is it. So that's why I normally go for it. This is called The Family and the Fishing Net. You're just out year-wise, unfortunately, 1982. Yes. Art rock, so you got a point for the genre as well. This is ranked 44th off the album 4, which I found quite amusing.
That's very cool.
This is, I mean, I've said so much about Peter Gabriel, not just on this podcast probably, but just ever when we do this game. I think my respect for him is tantamount, right? It's evident. He will forever be my favourite. I guess all that I really want to say is this is the 4th album I think it's around the period of the third album, the fourth album, and the soundtrack that you get some of his darkest sounding stuff. And I thought I'll do something off 4 because I haven't really tapped into 4 for a while. I need to re-listen to it, is what I discovered. Because even though I've listened to it so many times, I still need to, you know.
Of course.
I forgot how dark this one sounded, The Family in the Fishing Net. The percussion is so, I don't know, dominant and tribalistic. And then the lyrical content is strange, as you've said. It sounds religious, I don't know. I don't know why the family are by a fishing net. I don't know why they've got one. Sometimes his stuff is so hard to break down, I don't know. I love you, Peter. That's 2 points.
Cheers.
Okay.
Is that the one that has Shock the Monkey on?
Yes.
I'm trying to picture the cover in my head. I think I
it's
know
the
which
one
it
with
is.
the face that looks really blurred.
The very
and
weird
everything.
face, yeah.
I've mentioned percussion, and now I suppose I have to come up with one of my favourite Peter Gabriel facts, which is not on this album, but the previous one, that one of the stipulations he gave his band was to not have any cymbals used whatsoever.
Oh.
So if you listen through to the third album, there is not one cymbal. No
That's
hi-hat,
interesting.
no nothing.
Just shakers.
But it's just like... It just feels like tribalistic rhythms the whole way through. It's just...
That's quite cool.
It's an interesting experiment, definitely. But yeah, speaking of artists who have shown up a few times on this game who start with P, I thought this was Pink Floyd, your second one.
Mm-hmm.
I recognise some sort of progressions going on and stuff like that. I think this is off Dark Side of the Moon. But again, it wouldn't be the first time I've really badly embarrassed myself on this game. So I'm saying that knowing I haven't listened to it in a bit. I listened to it before lunch. I said maybe this is Brain Damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's such a spiraling album. I can't remember exactly what every 30 seconds sounds like.
Yeah.
And you do get these motifs that recur in multiple tracks and stuff. 1974, not too sure. Prog rock, psych rock, because it's a bit, I don't know. I'm hoping it's high. I said 49.
Cool. This is Pink Floyd indeed. This is actually my favourite Pink Floyd song, I think. It is Us and Them.
Us and Them, yes.
Which is the one directly after Money.
Yes.
Off of Dark Side of the Moon,
Mm-hmm.
which you correctly guessed. Prog rock, psych rock, yeah. Just like that saxophone.
The saxophone is gorgeous, yeah.
You won, you're out 73, but you get the point for that.
Thank you.
So in total, you get 3 points.
Thank you very much.
And it was number 61, so not as high as you think, but this is the highest Pink Floyd album on either of my topsters.
That's fair.
In fairness, I think I've only listened to 4 Pink Floyd albums.
What you done? Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and weirdly Atom Heart Mother.
Yeah, which is a strange
I
choice.
I don't know why I decided to listen to it, but
That's one with the cow, isn't it?
It is one with the cow, yeah. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's what drew it to me. I plan on listening to a lot of their big ones, and it took... me and my family went to see a Pink Floyd tribute band.
Yeah, so this is why you've... Okay, yeah.
This is mostly why I've chosen it, just to be like... after listening to the tribute band and really enjoying it, they did a very good job at getting across the Pink Floyd sort of vibe. I've been trying to get more into them, which led me to listening to Wish You Were Here and Animals that I hadn't listened to by that point.
Oh, okay. So this is recent then?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you hadn't listened to them.
I'd listened to Dark Side of the Moon back at school
Of
because
course.
I think it was mainly because in a music tech lesson, we had to do this sort of essay sort of thing where we had to compare this version of Dark Side of the Moon with, it was like a dub version of it, like a reggae dub
Oh my goodness.
sort of style
Okay,
version
yeah.
of it. And I don't remember what it sounded like, but I remember liking Dark Side of the Moon at that time. And then listen to Atom Heart Mother at some point at uni because I went, these are the Pink Floyd albums I want to listen to. I'm going to start with this one.
Yeah.
And then realised I don't know if I like it, so just stopped.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think I've done most of the Pink Floyds. I think it only probably started to pick up when you get to this era of Wish You Were Here and Dark Side and Animals and all of that. I think Medal was the first one for me that really clicked.
Yeah.
If you're going chronologically.
Yeah.
And then you got 4 or 5 in a row, which are pretty good.
You've listened to ones before Medal, but what was it like? Medal, the first one that clicked for you? Or?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah. It was the first one I think I truly enjoyed. I think I found the earlier Syd Barrett stuff wasn't for me. A lot of respect for him. A lot of respect for how unfortunate his story is. But his direction wasn't one I enjoyed as much as what I was saying.
So, yeah, I don't have too much more to add other than I think this is a Richard Wright one. I think he wrote. I think Roger Waters sings it.
Yes,
but I think Richard Wright wrote it, and I'm guessing that because on Spotify you can actually see the credits for the songs, and he's credited as a writer for this one.
That's cool.
So that's cool. Nice bit of keyboard he adds. Yeah, not much more to add. I think I've stated everything in that title. Number 61 is where it ranks. Yeah, 3 points as I say.
Thank you.
Nice. This one was an interesting one because it was one which I think initially I couldn't pinpoint.
Okay.
And then as I listened to it more, I thought, it does sound a little proggy.
Okay. So
I guess yes. Which, I mean, your expression might mean that it is, which is cool. I think if you've listened to a few Yes songs, you get a vibe for their vocal tone. And so, I don't know, maybe that's what led me to it. I thought it was called Lunacy because they say lunacy about 20
a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah, but art rock / prog rock said 1982. I said number 154. I'm not sure if this is... So they got one called Close to the Edge, and there's another one which Roundabout is off of. I can't remember the name of that one, but that might be self-titled. I don't know. But yes, that's my answer.
Okay. I'm gonna give you 2 points. I'm gonna give you 2 points for
keeping it consistent.
Title and the genre.
Okay.
I'm afraid it's not Yes. Okay. I was more so impressed by the logic, really. I thought Yes was a very respectable guess.
Cheers.
This is Swans.
That makes a lot more sense.
It is called Lunacy because they say lunacy, I don't know, 100 odd times total in the song, which, I mean, does a good service of painting lunacy, to be fair to them. I get why they do it. This is the first, I think it is the first in this, that sort of mega reformed Swans trilogy of The Seer, To Be Kind, Glowing Man. I think that's the order. That everyone, a lot of people view that. Those 3 as either the peak or Soundtracks for the Blind just before they break up as the peak. People normally pick between the two. For me, I'm a Soundtracks for the Blind kind of guy. But The Seer, which is, I haven't actually said the full answer, have I? Yeah, Lunacy, 2012. I said post-rock, experimental rock. I think art rock is valid.
Cheers.
195, so it is low, The Seer, but it is very good still. It's a very dark album. It's another very dark album.
Yeah.
As a lot of Swan stuff is anyway. But I guess after the reformation of Swans, it's even more maximalist. It feels like there is a lot more live instruments recording where they've all just got countless instruments in the same room and they're all just hammering away at them at the same time, and that is oppressive. And I think especially with this is the opening track on the album, where they just keep going lunacy, 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 lunacy. And you look at the album cover as well, it's a dog with human teeth and black eyes. And you just sort of think, oh no, what am I listening to? It does feel a bit demonic, I'll level with you. But It's a very good album. It's one of my favourite songs of theirs in general, this opener, because it does so well at achieving what it's meant to. It feels like insanity. It just does. I think the most interesting bit of information I can give you here is that in that big chorus of people chanting lunacy, you've got Michael Gira in there, obviously. But two vocalists featured in there are, and I'll say their names, two people called Alan Sparhawk and Mimi Parker.
Okay.
Otherwise known as Low.
Uh-huh.
Do you know Low?
I've heard of Low.
Which I think is interesting. I think you've got a few features here. You got someone called Karen O, lead vocalist of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Shows up
that's
at some
cool.
point.
Yeah.
And then there are other people there as well. It's very good. It's very good. I would recommend it definitely as being one to look at if you come to do Swan's discography. Have I got anything more to say? Nothing other than I've been waiting to use this one for a while. Cool. And also, I suppose, it's one that you will want to listen to around the house because obviously I like it. But it's always when you feel a bit awkward about playing out loud, purely because other members of your household will just hear lunacy, lunacy at quite a loud volume, and they might start to ask questions. So, for instance, what evil spirit are you channeling? But yes, I'm going to give you, I think I said 2 points, didn't I?
Cheers, yeah, thank you. I continue to not guess Swans.
I'm hoping it's a demonstration of how versatile they are.
I think it definitely is, yeah.
What doesn't help you, though, is that split in the middle and the fact the sound does change when they come back. And he sounds older, obviously, so the voice changes a bit as well. Helps me. It's fine. Right. I thought this was what is becoming... For a while, I think the token Chris play was, for instance, the Smiths.
Oh, yes, right? Back in the day, yeah.
Yes. I think the current token Chris play, in the way that mine, as I've already explained, is probably Peter Gabriel. I think your current one is They Might Be Giants. And I think this is by They Might Be Giants. My issue with They Might Be Giants, and it's not one that's going to offend you, I'm not about to say I hate them, is despite the number of times you've used them, I still cannot line up their years in my head. I still can't do it. So we'll see whether I've got that right or not. But what I've said is They Might Be Giants. Couldn't quite figure out what was being said. I said Wind the Nanobots. 1992, who knows. Geek rock, alt rock, 65, because you like them.
Cheers. I'll give you 3 points for that.
Let's go!
It was, yeah, of course, They Might Be Giants.
2013, man. I just can't get it.
Well, this is the thing. I was a bit... I'm not sure what I used last time. But 92, that's very much in the ballpark of their heyday.
Which is why I seem to remember that being their peak, so that's why.
And those are the ones that I like the best. But this is my Joker.
Okay, yes, I see.
Because this is a song called Nanobots. I'll give you a point for the title.
That's very kind, thank you.
Indie rock, indie pop. I don't know why I didn't say geek rock, because it's still sort of...
That's their thing, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's come out in 2013. This is off of their album Nanobots.
There you go.
The same title. I guess I like using They Might Be Giants, not because it gives you 3 points. 'Cause they're very obvious once you've heard a few of their songs. But mainly because, in my continued listen to all their albums, for the most part, the albums themselves I don't find to be great. They'd be decent. Like this one, for example, it's not too bad, but I often find that they're just inconsistent once you get to this sort of time. Whereas like early stuff of their self-titled Flood, Lincoln, Apollo 18, they're all incredibly consistent in my opinion. And I love all the songs. And then you get to these ones where I'm like, I probably really enjoy a couple of the songs on here. And then beyond that, it's just sort of, it's okay.
It doesn't keep it up in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's a trend that I feel with a lot of their stuff that sort of happened after their album Mink Car for me.
Mink,
yeah, M-I-N-K. Which is actually on my subtops, I'm pretty sure. But again, it's one of those ones where there is a disparity between the really good stuff and just the pretty meh stuff on there.
Mm.
And that ends up becoming quite a thing, in my opinion, on their later ones, which you don't get in their earlier ones.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And well, this is the second track on this album, and the first one is called "You're on Fire." Which is
not true, Chris.
It's an interesting title, but I think they're both really good songs. So I'm listening to it and I'm going, man,
are we onto a winner here?
There's two sick tracks here. This could be an album I really like.
Back to back, here we go.
And then the rest of the album wasn't as good, unfortunately. But there's still some interesting stuff on there. Mm-hmm. There is a song on there called "Stuff Is Way," which
what, Way is in W-A-Y?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is about as lyrically similar as the title. It's a lot of just incoherent.
Sometimes
singing.
you got to do it. That's fine.
But it's really popular on Spotify for some reason. I don't know if that's just a general factor of
people like feeling confused sometimes.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think this song has a meaning, Nanobots. It might be a comment on people in society growing up to inevitably conscript into the army.
Oh, possibly. That's not a bad shout.
Childlike, naive way of displaying that. Maybe that's why. I'm not too sure. I think they just like writing weird songs.
Some bands do, and that's respectable.
And "You're on Fire" is that. It's the whole point of "You're on Fire." I guess you'd say that if someone was, doing something really good.
Yes,
bro, you're on fire right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas the song
the
is
accent made that, by the way.
Thank you. The song is very literally about someone being on fire. I think the first few lyrics are something like, "Hey, you can't park there. Whoa, your head's on fire." Something like that.
Can I ask, off the top of my head, do you know how long that song is?
It's 2 minutes something.
So instead of saying to someone, "Bro, you're on fire, get some water, let me help you put it out," what They Might Be Giants do instead is sing for 2 minutes whilst you burn.
Yeah. If you don't get the memo, then
what more can they do to help you? What more can they do?
Yeah. I'll stop talking about them now. But 2013 is when it came out. This is my Joker. What did I give you? I gave you 3 points. I think I've constantly got 2 so far, and you've constantly got 3.
Look, this can all change. As I said to you, I have okay confidence on my answers until about 8. And at that point, I do think it might be bottle job time, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Your next one. This was... Now, the more that I've listened to Midwest Emo, the more that I realise it's like this. Like, not like the chill American football sort of stuff that I really like.
Not necessarily, yeah.
It's actually a lot heavier. And this was an interesting one, because I listened to it and I thought, there's actually a few different places I could go artist-wise for this. And the one I've gone with, I'm looking back now and thinking, I don't know how happy I am with that. I've said brand new, because I know you've listened to some of their stuff before. My thinking was that, I don't know how into Midwest Emo you are, but I'd only presume that you'd go listening more into it if it were an artist that you already like a decent amount. And I believe you enjoy their album, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me.
Yeah, it's a very good album. Yeah.
So I went along that lines. I have a bad feeling it's actually Brave Little Abacus, because they have... I mean, I think it's actually the most popular album for Midwest Emo on Radio Music. That implies that it's not.
I forget that it's like podcast is an awful medium for when you do things visually. I did mime something going over my head as Chris said that. So yeah,
it will interest me because I've listened to it before and wasn't massive on it. I prefer American football. I guess this...
You poser.
Maybe I am. I guess this song was called "I'm an Only Child." I guess, Midwest Emo / Slacker Rock. 2006, number 127.
I'm going to give you 1 point there.
Cheers. We've broken the chain, but not in a good way.
I'm sorry. So I don't know if you... Right. This is not me sort of doing some weird sort of flex. It's genuinely for confidence. So I am now a writer for an online publication called Outward Magazine.
That's awesome.
It's unpaid. But it gives me something to do, and you can look me up, and I've got stuff on the internet now, articles, which is cool.
Yeah.
Which you should email them. They've got a form for aspiring writers.
Okay.
You should do it if you want something to
Okay.
do.
Uh-huh.
If you want something to do. I don't get like money if I recommend people. That's just if you're interested in it. You do need to send them a sample of work if you want to. But
Yeah. That makes sense.
and they do have they do say, oh, you can write about some throwback stuff if you want, or songs that you really like that were written not in the last year or so. But their priority is new music. They like to discuss new music,
Okay, right.
which doesn't necessarily line up with my listening patterns, because my ephemeral list, my list that exists somewhere over there in the ether, is not ordered chronologically or anything. It's just bands and artists I want to listen to. So in an effort to write accordingly for Outward Magazine, I am trying to listen to newer stuff alongside stuff I would listen to along the list, right? So I came along to a band called Home Is Where. I don't know, you may well recognise the album cover of this, I don't know,
Okay.
but this song is called Nursing Home Riot. That lyric does not show up anywhere. It's a cruel one, I'm sorry, but it's my favourite off the album.
It's okay.
So 2023, so it's still quite new. Post-hardcore Midwest emo, as you say, or screamo. This is my joker. It's an album called The Wailer, which if I were to still rank it, it would be 214th. Really interesting album.
Okay.
I really like it, but just not enough to break into the top 200. Because there are a couple of tracks that I think, oh, if they weren't there, man, this would be like 50 places higher, or at least. It is Midwest emo. I think, interestingly, a lot of music critics seem to refer to these guys as the trendsetters for like fourth wave emo or something.
Interesting.
Like they are the originators of it, apparently.
Okay.
And when you see interviews with the band, it's one of those things where they're completely unaware of it. It's like, we just made some music, but if that's what you want to call us, that's fine. Yeah. It is a good album. I do like it. It's very guitar heavy, obviously. The point in this song that I've given you, where there is that scream that goes back into those really heavy guitar chords, it does give me a bit of life. And I've never really been a screamy kind of guy. I don't think I am. But it's just that scream in particular makes me go, ooh. And it happens again later in the song, where I think the lead singer, I think might be transgender, so I don't want to say the wrong thing here. I think it's she. Okay. Let me actually get a name as well. I think she has described this song as being about failure. But it's just Brandon McDonald has described it as a song being images of failure and stuff. And then the very last lyrics are in that really heavy guitar bit, where the extra given you fades out, is what I had to put down the dog today, tell the children he ran away, and then you get another scream and the song fizzles out.
Right.
Like this big chord is just allowed to fade away. And it's good. It's just really well structured and written. I think some of the content on the album is inspired by, I think, is it meant to be the day after 9/11, or it's that, well, I think there is a song, hang on, I can check this for you and this will prove whether I'm right or wrong. Yes, there you go. Track 5, Every Day Feels Like 9/11.
Right.
I don't know if it is that the concept is, what if 9/11 happened every day or something, which is not the nicest concept, I must say. But you definitely get this kind of constant anxiety and defeatism throughout the album. That definitely comes through. The image of the whaler and what it means to gut the whale is still one that I think I kind of know about. I'm not going to waste my time trying to explain it here because it would take too much time anyway. But I don't think I've quite nailed it yet. But it's an interesting one anyway. I would recommend you listen to it. If there is Midwest emo you're still looking for getting into other than American football, you poser, then give it a go. Other than that is 1 point.
Cheers. Oh, I just scratched the mic. That has come through. Okay, I'll change that. I'll edit that in post. Okay. Cheers. Thank you. Interesting. Yeah, it's nice to include, our own real life endeavours within the music as well. I think you'd mentioned that to me before, but to hear you talking about it is makes a lot more sense. I don't know how to word it in a way that makes sense.
Which is ironic.
It makes it more real, I guess. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Anyways.
As I say, unpaid but still an enjoyable exercise.
Of course, and if it's something you want to do, then...
What's to say it can't get me somewhere else?
It gives you a good portfolio.
It seems like a lovely... I haven't met most of the other writers because most of them... I haven't spoken to any of them apart from my supervisor or whatever. But a lot of them seem to be America-based. But they all seem like nice people from the way they write anyway. So... this is a moment where I'm hoping I've applied the best logic I have in this game. I will be impressed even if I'm wrong because I was able to recall this band. I think this is Sweet Trip. It's not Sweet Trip, guys. I haven't got it right. But I was impressed that because I heard a male voice and a female voice and there was a lot going on and I thought... I remember you saying that, was it Velocity
Design Comfort, yeah.
Is an album that sort of moves a bit of everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe, I don't know.
It's a very good guess, yeah.
Thank you. It means it's wrong, but thank you.
Well, their stuff post Velocity Design Comfort, I think, leans less on the glitchiness of that album. So,
okay.
But I mean, that's more, credence to your guess because this was, again, not really glitchy. It was just sort of shoegazy, right?
Of course.
Have you heard of a band called Candy Claws?
Right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that my answer here was V-Shaped Shadow by Sweet Trip. 1990, shoegaze or psych rock, ranking 110. I have once again, ladies and gentlemen, been beaten to an artist by Chris London because of my stupid freaking list, which I worked down chronologically, and I love it, but it has hindered me once again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let myself fester a bit and allow you to talk in the process. Okay. This is the album with all the green leaves on it and the guys poking out of the bush, isn't it?
It's the cool one, yeah. Which I didn't realise. When I looked on our Pinterest again, I realised that it was actually one of the albums that we'd used as a reference for...
Because I knew it existed and I put it in there foolishly. And I thought, he won't like, back search that and find out what it is. But apparently he has. So.
I mean, that weren't really what I did. I mean, it's an album cover which you think, I've seen this in a lot of places, but you don't often know about the album or the kind of music it is or the artist even. I don't know if they've done a ton of big stuff outside of this album, which is called Series and Calypso in the Deep Time.
Oh yeah, that is a difficult one.
It is
it would be Xerxes if it was with an E. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a Greek or Roman god. S. I'm not sure which. This track is called Pangea Girls in brackets Magic Feeling, Shoegaze Dream Pop, 2013. It's number 136 because I thought it was pretty good. It's interesting.
Good ranking.
It's consistent shoegaze. And again, dream pop sort of stuff. Yeah, well, I don't have a load to say on them other than it's cool. It's a concept album, I think.
Oh, okay.
So with every single track you have the title and then the bracketed title. And I'm pretty sure all the lyrics are written by a poet.
Oh, that's really cool.
None of the members, basically.
That's really cool.
And And it's meant to be this sort of story that follows the two characters on the album cover, who are meant to be Ceres and Calypso. I'm not too sure what the journey's about. It's meant to be in like Neolithic times, something like that. But I find that very interesting because given it's a shoegaze album, you can't really hear what they're singing.
No.
So it's sort of like, the concept aspect of it only works insofar if you can hear what they're singing.
That's why I came up with the title like V-shaped shadow. No idea.
I think the lyric is leaf-shaped shadow.
Oh, I wasn't far off.
You were pretty close, yeah.
Still wrong.
I think, I mean, it's in terms of shoegaze, it's nothing too different. I find there's a nice danciness about it. I find like you sort of get that in that bass riff section that you probably hear do 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 do, and it's cool and it's nice. I should listen to more shoegaze because I do like it, and dream pop in general. Good sound, although after we've made a shoegaze sort of song, I do realise that it is genuinely just that you have everything just loud. And you
layer
have a lot
up
of
some
guitars.
different noisy guitars. Yeah,
that is how you do it. So fair enough.
In short, we are the best shoegaze band of all time.
Yes. It makes for easy mastering as well and mixing. But yes, I'll give you a point for shoegaze.
I'll take that.
That looks about right. Yes. And
was it 2013? I didn't realise it was that
it's a very
modern.
recent one. Yeah. And I'll once again mention, if you want to get to an artist, listen to them. You don't have to follow a list.
I like my list. Leave it alone.
Well, it didn't sound like you liked your list 5 minutes ago.
No, I actually do. I love my list, and I do enjoy listening to music the way I do because I go in with no expectations. But it is just that it happens to hinder me sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Well, I'd also like to mention that there's a few artists that I get to before you, but at the same time, there's also a lot of artists that you get to before me. Swans, Animal Collective, Juju.
Yeah,
it goes both ways.
Animal Collective are one of my proudest moments, probably. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, your number 5, I think, is next. This was.
I know you struggled with this one, Chris.
This was one you tried to catch me out on.
I did.
And in fairness, I tried to catch you out with the first 2 of mine, and this is one of, if not my favourite band of all time, Ween. I know this is the last track off of the Mollusk. I guess it depends how you decide to divvy it up. On the Spotify version, this is at the very end of the last track, She Wanted to Leave.
She wanted to leave.
Exactly, yeah. Or you could say, this is actually called Hidden Track at the end of something. But it's like a musical reprise of the first track, which is I'm Dancing in the Show Tonight. But I put as a title, She Wanted to Leave, art rock / indie rock, 1997. And I remember this being high on your subtops the last time, so I presumed maybe you're using it because it's hopped onto your actual one. So I guess 96.
And just like that, the tide of this whiteboard game has turned. It's a 5-pointer, as we would expect it to be for someone who loves the album The Mollusk as much as he does. This is indeed Ween. This is indeed the reprise of Dancing in the Show Tonight at the end of She Wanted to Leave. 1997 exactly. Art rock, fine. I've got it at number 92. You've put it at 96, so you are in the range.
Appreciate it.
And you're entirely correct. The pure reason I've chosen it is because I wanted to inform you of what I would have hoped you would interpret as very good news.
An epic win.
In that, for the first time ever, a Ween album exists in my top 100. And it was always going to be The Mollusk. It was always going to be The Mollusk. Who doesn't like SpongeBob, am I right?
We're still working on Chocolate and Cheese.
I'll tell you, look, with the listening I have done recently, Ween is closer on that list than ever before. And
They-
when I hit that, all of the albums will be done
They've-
because you've told me all of them have got something to offer.
They do.
So-
I mean, they've got a 30th anniversary deluxe coming out, so you might find that actually I really like the remasters on this.
Deluxe is always
Yeah.
intimidating.
And I'm
word.
just keeping my fingers crossed that there is going to be some rogue, like Ween offcut that I've heard on YouTube somewhere, just
Yeah.
on it in
Yeah.
like full glory.
You're a super fan now.
I
this is it.
love Ween.
No, this is when I like,
love Ween.
for instance, with Duster and that. Whenever I go back to Experimental Dust or something, and I always see these comments going, "Oh, guys, they made this a real song now." By the way, on their recent stuff,
It's on Spotify.
that's
yeah.
you. But
That
with
is
Ween,
me, yes.
that's you.
Yeah, I've listened to so much unreleased Ween,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's so much of it is so good, and you just
That
want
sounds
it to
like
exist.
an underground drug, unreleased Ween. I mean, I don't know what to say about this now because it's all been said before, and you can probably say it better than me anyway. It's just such a versatile album.
It is, yeah.
It is really good. And I was looking at the back end of my top 100 and the top end of my top 200, and I thought the way I describe that gap in my tops, I always say that's tops to purgatory.
Yeah,
Because you get a lot of albums from me that spend a very long time in like the top 20 and the top 200, and eventually after maybe even a year, probably longer with the Mollusk, I look at it and go, I do prefer you than like number 99 or whatever if I actually think about it. So go on, you've earned it. Promotion, there you go. It's like Leeds returning to the Premier League. It's remarkable.
yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't have anything more to say about it. It is just that good an album.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry I kept him waiting. There you go.
It's okay.
5 points, of course, as well.
Appreciate
yes.
it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is an album I used as point of reference for my dissertation. So if that doesn't show you how much I like it, then I don't know what will.
I'm waiting for the for the Mollusk tattoo to show up one day.
If I were a tattoo lover, maybe I would, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get one.
Yeah, I'm not really that way inclined either.
Not my
myself.
thing.
No. I didn't know who this was.
Mm.
Your number 5. I mean, I first of all I said Joker, which I know is now wrong. But you've given me songs by the band before, and I didn't think it sounded like the voices I've heard in there, so I didn't say them.
Mm-hmm.
But I did say what I normally go to with this kind of thing, which is the Doobie
yeah.
Brothers. I think it's valid.
Mm.
I said it was called Tenderness on the Block, 1974. I said Americana, that's what I'm leaning on more, but blues rock also a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I did say it was a Joker. I know that's now wrong, but we'll see.
This is a musician called Warren Zevon.
Look,
I don't
full
know if
respect
you've
to you,
heard
Warren
of-
Zevon. I don't know who you are.
Your dad might, so do mention it.
He knows
afterwards.
most musicians.
I'll tell you, you might recognise the cover for this album. This album's called Excitable Boy. So whilst I
Excitable boy.
mention the things in the title, you can look it up. This is called Tenderness on the Block. I was sort of thinking you might not get it because the way he says it sort of makes it feel like it leads off of from the previous bit. It's a weird title as well.
I'll level with you, Chris. I don't recognise this album cover either.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Pop Rock 1978
Sure.
is when it came out. I'll give you Americana and Blues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So I think you get 3 points from that. Well done.
I've
very
impressed
good roll.
myself. Thank you.
And this was at number 156 for me. It is off of an album called Excitable Boy by Warren Zevon. I'm not sure where this popped up for me, but this was one of those moments where often quite a lot of the albums I listen to are ones which I've just seen a lot around that sort of time.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
this was
yeah.
one of them.
Mhm.
I'd seen it a few times. I can't remember where. And then the one that tipped me over was me and my uni friends were sharing recent music we listened to, and he mentioned this one, which is right up his street because he likes a lot of this sort of stuff. But Yeah, how would I describe it? I mean, it's pop rock, but you do get a lot of, Americana blues influence. There's a funk track in there.
Amazing.
Some country sort of twanged sort of stuff. It's varied. And the main thing for me is that, for me, I got something out of every track.
That's when
I
you
really
know.
enjoyed that.
That's when you know.
So I feel like with a lot of 70s pop rock albums, I guess you sort of feel inclined to say that this stuff is alright, this stuff is a bit meh, not really my favourite, but I found that this was quite a consistent album.
Yeah.
So fair play,
fair.
Warren. This was one of my favourites on the album, Tenderness on the Block. Don't have too much more to say. So I won't say much more other than give it a listen if you liked it.
Well, I'm sure it will be one that Dad does know. I honestly, I've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's weird how some albums just sort of enter your space and you sort of think. It feels like this album is telling me to listen to it.
Yes, no, I completely agree.
So
completely
I will,
agree.
and I did, and I like it. So that's cool. Yeah. What's this, number 6?
I think so. Don't know why I went so high pitch there. It is number 6, yes.
I believe.
Animal
Collective. One of your faves. They say some sort of phrase often in the song, and it's quite hard to tell what it was. I initially thought it was True Love.
Okay.
And I changed it to Cheer Up because I thought that's what it was. Maybe that'll come back to bite me. I guess experimental rock, noise rock, maybe even psych rock. 2021, because again, I'm not too sure with Animal Collective dates. I figured it might be off of their new one, which is called Is It Now?
Isn't It Now?
Isn't It Now? There you go.
Defeat.
I was a negative off. But it might also... The initial thought that came into my head was this was something off of like Centipede Hurts or something. But I don't know. So that's what I put. I guess it was number 148.
You put me in a difficult position here, Chris.
Okay.
You've been grizzly beared.
For real? That sounded exactly like Animal Collective.
Maybe a very high-pitched Daniel Rossen sounds like Panda Bear harmonies.
But like the main guy singing sounded like A.V. Tear, which is what threw me.
That's not. Why have I forgotten the other guy's name? It's not Daniel Rossen. It's Ed Drost. I see the I see why you've muddled them, definitely. This is a song called Lullaby. What you heard was them repeating chin up, cheer up, chin up, cheer up, chin up. Again, it doesn't have Lullaby in there. It was cruel, I'm sorry. 2006, chamber pop. I may give you a point for genre. I might give you a point for genre.
I'd appreciate that.
120th Yellow House. It's still not Vector Est, but I think I must have included this in like 50%, this album of our podcast, Now Yellow House. Every single time I play it, it moves up that top star. It's not Vector Est, but it's almost Vector Est. It's so good. And I'm struggling at the moment to find a band whose sound... I don't want to struggle. I'm not struggling because I don't want to find another band, I suppose, that has a sound that is so similar to the kind of thing I would want to end up creating. I love how they write. And I've said all of this before, so I'm not going to waste my time repeating it. But Grizzly Bear are one of the goats. They're the Grizzly Goats, man. They're great. The partnership of Drost and Rossen vocally is outstanding. I'm not going to be rude, so I'm going to look up the band to make sure I give every band member their flowers and don't forget a single one. Because I've included them enough times, I should do it now.
There's a guy with the last name Bear on it.
Yes, Chris Bear.
Which is amusing.
Another Chris. He's the drummer. Bass. He is excellent on this album as well. And the guy whose name I couldn't remember is Chris Taylor, who is your bassist.
2 Chris's.
And apparently he does all your reeds as well, all your reeded instruments. So when you're listening to that intro for the opening track, Easier, the best intro ever written, those woodwind harmonies are all him, I suppose. So well done to
Fair
him.
enough.
It's just so gorgeous. The album sounds so nice. This is probably the loudest point on the whole album, which I suppose is ironic because it's called Lullaby. I'm taking it that's an intentional choice. But yeah, Yellow House and Vecatum Est in particular are both stunning, genuinely gorgeous. But I mean, I don't mean gorgeous just as like a throwaway adjective meaning good. I mean like beautiful.
Yeah.
Like they are beautiful. Yeah. I love Grizzly Bear. Daniel Rossen, please get in touch. Teach me everything you know, please. I will give you a point for the genre.
Cheers,
I'm in a mood to not be horrible. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Um,
I think that's been done to me a few times now. I've been so confident of it being
Grizzly-Beared.
something, and it's been something else.
well, your initial one with extracts I did was confusing Guy Garvey of Elbow for Peter Gabriel and vice versa. That was your first ever quandary.
They're not even that similar. I don't know why I had that issue.
I mean, I get it. I suppose they've got an art rock sound surrounding both of them as well. Now, this is your number 6, I believe. I think I've defeated one that I've always been a bit funny with, one that I've struggled to nail down. I think I've finally got it this time. I think this is Wilco. I said Picking Apples. 1995, Alt Country, because it's Wilco. I suppose similarly, in the way that I've spoken about Yellow House, have you used a song off Yankee Hotel Foxtrot? That's what it's called, isn't it?
I've used 2 before, yeah.
On a podcast?
I would have.
Oh,
yes,
right.
It was on the Cursed podcast.
Yes, where my audio file just vanished. So it would have been twice. But I'm taking it. Why I've ranked it at 30 is because you've spoken about it not to me just once. It's been a few times, and I've even seen you use it on your social media and everything. I think you must have put it on a story, one of the songs off of it on a story.
I used it on Chris's Tunes.
Oh, you did it on Chris's Tunes as well? Of course you did. What's wrong with me? So I'm thinking 30 because I think it must have just kept going up recently. I don't know, but we'll see. It's number 1, right?
Well, it's number 1 if you times that by 3. It's number 111.
Okay, it's still quite high. It is still quite high.
It is Wilco, yeah. Wanted to use them again because I hadn't talked about them on a podcast, technically.
Yes.
This is called Radio Cure. And I've realised I've now used the first 3 tracks off of this album to show you.
So next game we'll have number 4.
So I might use number 4 next time, who knows. Art rock, indie rock. 2002, this was Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Cool.
Number 111. It was this album and Parachutes by Coldplay, which were the 2 that I'd come back to recently after listening to a few times around the time, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years. And then only really recently liking it a lot more.
Yeah, I remember the first time you listened to it, you were a bit puzzled by the hype, I suppose.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, it's very highly rated in certain musical circles. And it wasn't totally for me, and I didn't get it totally. But now I listen to it and I think it's nice. I totally get the praise it has. It's not bumped onto the top 100 for me.
Might it?
It might do. I think there's just... I don't know, it's hard. Because there's still quite a lot of moments on the album which, for me, I sort of think, I don't care for as much. Whereas if I think about how I think about Parachutes now, basically every single track I'm going to, oh yes,
it's a banger.
Yeah, exactly.
Consistency.
We're coming up to this track now, awesome. Whereas with Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, it's like this
I've got
track.
to get through this one to get to the next one. Yeah,
sure. Not so much I have to get through it, but it's like okay, we'll listen to it, and then we have this one, and that would be really good, mainly. But yeah, no, I quite like the album. This song's interesting. I mainly used it because I thought there's actually probably quite a few tracks on this album that I could use that might be a bit too obvious that it's Wilco, and this was the one which felt like it might stump you a little bit. It hasn't, but evidently you've managed to breach that. So fair play. And yeah, you're going to get 2 points.
Yeah, I've let myself down on the year.
I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. You managed to get 3 on the Warren Zevon one, so yeah.
Well, I haven't told you because I'm actually a Warren Zevon super fan. You wouldn't know.
But yeah, no, I use one of these songs in a Chris's tunes. I like Wilco.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Tweedy is an interesting man. I don't mean interesting as like a negative quantifier because I don't want to say anything bad about him, but
he's just actually interesting.
He does seem like quite an interesting chap. Good songwriter. He did. I remember when JPEG Mafia was promoting his album All My Heroes Are Cornballs, and if you remember, he would upload multiple things on his YouTube which were titled like "This Person Is Disappointed."
Oh, okay.
Because he was branding it as this is going to be a disappointing album for you to listen to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it wasn't. It was good.
Yeah.
He did one which was called Jeff Tweedy Is Disappointed. And when I first saw it, this would have been like, 2019, when I didn't really know about Wilco or Jeff Tweedy. And I thought, I don't really know who this is. But Hannibal Buress is in the video, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And now I know about it, I'm like, how have these worlds collided?
It is a very strange combination, that. Yeah.
And JPEG Mafia is talking to Jeff as if he's like a long time like idol of his.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, it's fascinating how that, those worlds collide. Also, Jeff Tweedy saying that the album seems like a disappointing attempt to draw attention away from his hairline is a very, very amusing comment. I wasn't anticipating that sort of heat. It's funny because now he doesn't have a hairline. He's gone bald, hasn't he? Which I think suits him, to be fair. But yeah, anyways, we'll leave it there. Well done.
Thank you.
Got a couple points out of that. This next one was ambient sort of stuff. I'm not sure if it's one of your ambient endeavours.
I wish I had my own ambient endeavours. I wish I had the computer ability to do
you could. I mean, I'll have to teach you some point how to make your own stuff because I'm sure you make a lot of interesting things.
I just the old maybe deep inside myself I just strive for peace. Maybe that's all I want. I just love ambient music now. The older I get. I'm 22. That sounds like I'm ancient.
I recalled listening to an album called Towers quite a while ago, and I quite liked it. I think you've listened to it. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but it's like a sort of vaporwave, sort of not, because it wasn't released as a vaporwave album, but it's after a while been given that label.
Yes.
So I guess
Towers
was the artist. Towers 1 was the title because that's how it's.
That is how it's done. Yeah.
Vaporwave / ambient, I thought was the genre. 2016, I'm not sure when it came out, I just put like a general year. And then number 196, I didn't think this was terribly high on yours.
I've got a lot of respect as well for the fact that when you've done Towers 1 by Towers, you have also done it in the capitalisation that it's also released under. It's 2 points.
Cheers.
2 points. For genre and for... Yeah, you got the year exactly right, 2016. I don't know, this might assist you in, you may be able to figure it out who it actually is if I list all the genre options I've got written down, which is I've got dark ambient, sound collage, noise, glitch, and plunderphonics.
It's not Seraphim, is it?
No.
Telepath.
I'll give you a huge hint.
Okay.
You've already said who it is earlier in the game. You've already mentioned the name.
Who could it be?
Which might annoy you. I don't know.
Oh, is it the Caretaker?
It is the Caretaker.
Oh wow. Oh, this is the Big Boy. Okay.
This is the Big. Have you listened to the Big Boy?
I haven't. No.
You haven't listened to the Big Boy. This is the Caretaker. F8. Otherwise known as Mournful Camaraderie. I'm trying to figure out how do I best pronounce this. Camaraderie. It's probably a French word, and I'm English. I'm not meant to like them. Yeah, 2016, I've just listed all the genres. 184th, this is the big boy everywhere at the end of time. Now, I listened to most of this when I was in Guildford recently.
I'm so sorry.
No. Don't be. And I got through the first kind of 3, because it's separated into 6 stages, isn't it? I got through the first 3 stages, and this is before you've got any major, like, what sounds like tape degradation and anything. It still sounds like, in inverted commas, music.
Yeah.
Right? But what you don't realise, what they don't tell you, Chris, is that the first 3 stages make up, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh, this isn't, people made this out to be like it was some sort of grueling marathon. And then you remember it's a 6-hour thing, and you've got through the first 3 stages, which means the latter 3 are about 4.5 hours long. And then you think, I haven't got the time to do this all whilst I'm in Guildford. I haven't got the free time. I'm not here on my own. So I did have to split it up. I'm sure that it would have had an even greater effect on me if I had somehow found a way to sit in a room for 6 hours listening to just this. I think it's not as simple as putting an ambient album on in the background, where you don't need to focus on it. I think because there is a concept and some sort of narrative, it requires a certain level of focus. So I would struggle to just sit down for 6 hours, in much the way that anyone, I think, unless you're working, doing a job, struggles to sit down for 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of respect to anyone who has done that. I'm sure there are multiple people who have done it. Although I am now concerned for your mental well-being for multiple reasons. Is it as scarring as people make it out to be? If you listen to it in one go, it may well be. It wasn't as devastating as I thought it would be. I was terrified to listen to this, by the way.
Okay.
But I'd started... Caretaker was really high up on that list I've mentioned.
Yeah.
And I just kept looking at it thinking, I've got one unticked artist there that I keep scrolling past. I can't keep putting it off. I've just got to get it done. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it is upsetting. If you hold the concept in your mind... And I would still categorise it, and I've used this phrase before, like, in that bracket I'm building of hardest albums I've ever listened to. I would put it in there. But it's not as bad as you think it's going to... It's not, like, going to change your worldview sort of thing. I think that's what some people make it out like it's going to be.
Yeah.
But, like, musically, the handling and manipulation of the samples and everything is really interesting, and it's really multifaceted. Things are stretched and chopped and reversed, and the pitches are drained and all of this. And then eventually, the further on you get, it does stop being in inverted commas music, and it's just sounds of things skipping and like things banging in the distance and so much static. I'm not going to go any further than that, because if you do come around to listen to it, following the way the music changes yourself is part of its interest, right? Because that's the point of it, which I'm sure if you're listening to this, and I've mentioned everywhere at the end of time, you probably already have a bit of an idea of the concept behind it, because it's one of these online albums. But it's meant to follow the stages of degradation that someone suffering with Alzheimer's or dementia would have, basically. Which is why it's so difficult to listen to. Would I recommend it? Yes, it's probably quite an important album. Will I ever listen to it again? Not all the way through. No, I might. I've told you I have on my phone a notes section of electronic albums where I single out tracks I quite like. Because a lot of them come up on Bandcamp, so I haven't got a playlist I can save things to. I may just follow it that way. But yeah, because you get to like 20, 30 minute long bits of music at the end, inverted commas music, which is just glitchy noises at that point. It sounds confused. That's the point of it. Look, I've spoken so long because I suppose it deserves that kind of conversation, but I'll leave it there. Is it as mammoth as it actually is spoken about. Does it deserve to be that big? Probably.
Mhm.
As I said, 2 points. I'll leave it there. I will not speak for that long ever again. I apologise.
All right. Cheers. No, it's what was I going to say? I think all of his stuff is now on Spotify.
Is it? I didn't know that.
So that's
Okay.
really cool. It makes it easier to listen to it in my free time. Because you can't have
You'll need a lot of
YouTube
free
open.
time. You'll need a lot of free time.
Yeah. Okay.
Make sure you're in a decent place when you come to it, is what I'll say. It was you who said to me, actually, with the caretaker, start with... You said this to me a while back, start with...
An empty bliss beyond this world.
Which is, it's quite a good entry
It
point.
is, yeah.
Now that I've listened to that, I can say it's a good entry
Yeah.
point. I thought this sounded very post-rocky.
Mhm.
And there's a post-rock band that you quite like. This is your number 7, I believe.
Mhm.
Godspeed You! Black Emperor.
Mhm.
I said it was Storm because that's the opening track of Lift Your Skinny Fist, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
2000, I think it's around then. Post-rock, 79 because you like them.
This is what I thought would happen.
It's not Godspeed.
It's not Godspeed, but it's who I like to call Godspeed's calmer, subtler cousins.
Okay.
Explosions in the Sky.
Have you used these guys before?
I've not used Explosions
I
in the Sky
recognise
before.
them.
It might just be a general band you've heard before.
Possibly.
Uh,
If you've done it to me again, I'll cry in the same game.
This track is called Your Hand in Mine. It's the last track off of the album that this is off of. It is post-rock. 2003, so you're just within the year.
Oh, to be fair, actually, I don't recognise any of the album covers. So, sorry, go on.
And then number 158 on my ranking. The album is called The Earth Is Not a Cold and Dark Place. Just one of the more popular post-rock albums. I've listened to a bit of post-rock outside of Godspeed now, and it's pretty interesting.
It's not too long either, actually.
No, it's not. It's quite chill. I think I remember a friend of mine who said that he likes post-rock and listens to quite a bit of it, especially Explosions in the Sky. And I remember at that point I hadn't listened to Godspeed yet, but I thought, Godspeed are a post-rock band that a lot of people like. I'll mention it to him. And now I look at it and I think that guy works on a hospital ward. He's probably listening to Explosions in the Sky to sort of calm him down,
To
keep
tune
it cool.
out a bit, yeah.
Yeah, but Godspeed can often be quite,
Dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how much that helped. But yeah, I don't have too much to say. I'm going to keep my...
To compensate for my rambling, I'm sorry.
No, I'm trying to keep it short. I mean, I've got somewhere to be, so
I'm
I'll
aware
try
of
and
that.
keep,
I'll try and do the same.
that's
My
fine.
apologies.
That's all right. I'll just try and keep what I'm saying. I don't have too much more to say on it anyway. It's just decent, one of the more popular post-rock albums, as I say. If you're looking at getting into post-rock, this is a pretty good point at getting into it as well. As I say, it's like Godspeed's calmer, chiller cousin, which I think is probably an easier way of getting into, especially the Godspeed brand of post-rock. So, yeah, would recommend. I'll give you 2 points for
Thank
that
you.
answer.
Thank you.
This next one was your 8th one.
Number
and
8. Nummer 8.
It was one which I wasn't too sure on. I wasn't sure on at all, actually. I remember when listening to it, I think I said something like, what is this weeb sort of stuff?
You know what? You're right. It's a bit weeby. Sounds a bit weeby.
It sounds like the outro song for like an anime.
You're so right. I never even thought of that. You're so right.
But I
Not to
guess
offend all the fans of this band, but, you know.
I don't know the band's name. They had a female singer. I'm not sure if this band has a female singer, but I guessed them just because that came to mind. I guess the band Little Dragon, who are collaborators on Plastic Beach, I think.
Yes, I recognise that. Yeah.
By Gorillaz. I think they're called Little Dragon. If I got that wrong, that's a bit embarrassing. It will not be alone. Is that really what I put? Okay. Indie rock, the genre, 2012, 173.
So, this is a duo. called Gregory and the Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the lady's the hawk. I don't know. But I don't want to be rude. I'm going to very quickly look them up so I actually say their names instead of just going maybe the lady's the hawk. This is, I had never thought about it before, but it does have a weebiness to it. You're completely right. There is an anime credits song feeling to it. Her name is Meredith Godrow.
Oh.
And the guitarist, I suppose main instrumentalist perhaps, is Mike Maguire. Meredith Godrow. That just fits, doesn't it? That sounds like it would be her name. I think this is something that you will only get maybe if you know her voice, but it's possibly the most floral sounding voice I've ever heard.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Well,
a nice
it's
way
just
of putting
so quaint. It's so cutesy. It's like it's the folkiest female voice I might have ever heard. It's a song called Oats We Sow, which is my favourite off of the album, which is ranked 188th for me, called Moni and Kitschy. Random YouTube recommendation. I've never had folk
cool.
recommended to me off YouTube before, but I'm glad it's happened because it's a good album. It's just a very poetic, pretty, I don't know if it's a breakup or just love or both album. I think this one is about breaking up or something and longing to be back with the person. I don't know. 2008 when it released. Chamber pop, always want to be chamber pop. Indie folk, twee folk. Twee, that's another word for it. Twee. The most floral twee sounding vocalist I may have ever heard. That's to her credit, I would say. Although my girlfriend did hear me playing the song once and said she thought she sounded profoundly annoying. So I've just called out my girlfriend. Sorry.
Shots.
But I'm going to give you 1 point for the genre.
Cheers,
I think.
appreciate it.
Yes, I would recommend it. It's very much deserves its place in what is personally an increasing catalogue of folk favourites for me. That it deserves its place in there.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, we've got to the bit where I think I crumble. Okay. It's definitely not these guys, but I had no idea who to put for your number 8. Let me write this down. Don't go silent. Fill the space. Yes, I thought this might amuse you. I don't know. I thought this was the Magnetic Fields because I didn't know what to say.
Deep voice, to be fair.
Well, yeah, and it was instrumentally peculiar, I suppose. Coincidentally, I thought you ranked this 188, which is what my last one was. I said it's called I'm Not Saying Anything, 2005, alt-rock indie-tronica.
Oh, yeah. This is a band I used last time.
Bruh.
It's TV Girl.
Bruh.
The song was called Hate Yourself.
I don't.
Well,
nor should you.
Just in case you haven't thought about it yet, maybe you should.
Oh. Well.
That sounded darker than I intended it to. Indie pop.
Video Twin is over, guys. That's it.
Well, you can hate yourself and be friends, right?
I think he actually wants me to hate myself, guys. This is
I'm just posing the idea. You can hate yourself and have friends.
This is anti-therapy, is what this is.
It's indie pop. Well, they call themselves hypnotic pop, so I put that. 2014, 138.
Oh, French exit.
It's a bit below their other album that I've listened to, which is Who Really Cares. This is French Exit. Both good albums. I think.
138 is still a respectable.
Exactly. Yeah, they're worth listening to. I would genuinely say that I like TV Girl as well, which I think is probably something.
He's a manipulator. It's male manipulator music.
A lot of people would probably say, "You flipping weirdo, mate." I'm into cool sampled stuff
and manipulating women. You can cut that out. It's fine.
To be fair, this album is lyrically it's a lot easier going when it comes to the sort of taking you out of the moment lyrics. Like I don't doubt that there's some weird messages going on within it, but you don't get lyrics that take you out of the moment like you do on Who Really Cares.
Yeah, just strange things. Yeah.
So it's more bearable in that sense. That being said, I think I do prefer the production on Who Really Cares.
Mm-hmm.
But that's mainly because it's more sort of true to like OG, not really OG, but like old 90s hip hop with the vocal samples and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that sort of thing. And I love that about Who Really Cares. Whereas with French Exit, it feels like you know, this is a sample, and you know, they've added some drums behind it, which isn't bad. It's
not as complex.
It just feels more in tune with something like lo-fi hip hop.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Which, I mean, it's not lo-fi hip hop. It still has a lot going for it, right? I wouldn't put it this high if I didn't like it.
Of course.
I find it hard to describe TV Girl without sort of doing them a disservice, I think, as well.
Okay. It's like a girl and she's on the TV.
I would recommend listening to it. I think what I can say is they do have their own sound and vibe, which is very respectable. Mm-hmm. So you'll get to them at some point, I think. And when you do, I hope you like it.
I'll tell you what, I'll get to them when I start to hate women. No, I've got to let this joke die. It's not going well.
But yeah, I'm going to leave it there because I'm struggling to find the words to say. I think I said everything. This is Indie Pop, Not Pop, 2014, number 138, album French Exit. Yeah, and you'll get a point.
Okay, that's very kind. That's very generous. Even after I made up all that awful slander about you because you like TV Girl, that's very kind.
It's fine. I'll get over it. Yeah. This next one was interesting and weird.
Yes, very weird.
And let me remind us. Oh, I've just clicked my one by accident. Whoops.
Yeah, wait a minute. I recognise this.
Oh yeah, it was like chimes. Well, not like chimes, but like, I guess, tones. And yeah, not too sure. I ended up guessing Hiroshi Yoshimura because there were points that felt out of time. And I know he's done that sort of stuff on the Green. He's got an album called Music for Postcards, I think. So I guess that.
Yes.
Ambient drone was the genre. 1990, number 185. But ultimately, I'm in the dark for this answer. I don't really know.
Well, for being in the dark, you've got 3 points.
Oh, wow.
The most impressive one being that it is Hiroshi Yoshimura.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, honestly. This is Softwave 2 from the album Softwave. It's not chimes, it's Softwave for Automatic Music Box. Which I've ranked at 180. Released in 2005 posthumously, but recorded written between 73 and 76. I had post-minimalism, ambient, new age. The first 2 tracks, it's like an hour-long album, and the first 2 tracks are sort of 20-minute explorations of what 1 or 2, I don't know if it's 2 music boxes can make.
Okay.
And then you get more of something that sounds a bit ensemble-y at the end, but it's like chamber. You get strings and things. I might be misremembering that, I don't know. I've done quite a lot of Yoshimura now.
Nice.
I've listened to All I Want To, which is all but maybe 1 or 2 of his albums.
Okay.
He's the king, man. Ambient-wise, he's the king.
He's good, isn't he?
I haven't got to Brian Eno yet, so maybe that will change one day, but currently he's... What I will say is Brian Eno, he hasn't written Wetland. I'll tell you that. So, this is my 3rd favourite of his. You got this, then Green, then Softwave 2. Softwave, excuse me. Which is really peculiar because a lot of it, 40 minutes of it, is basically just a music box making minimalist sounds, and you get rhythmic displacement and all of this stuff, right? But I don't know why. It's just so relaxing. And it's just so pretty. But it's the most simple album I think I've ever listened to. Other than just John Cage's 433, this is like 2nd place. But it just works. maybe it's his magic that he can make this truly fascinating. It's 3 points out of nowhere.
Cheers,
It's very
yeah.
impressive. I would say if you ever want to do more Yoshimura other than Wetland or Green, definitely do this one. Don't skip this one. It's really good.
Okay.
There's something about, I don't know what it is. It just sounds like magic. It sounds like Snowfall. I don't know. There's a comment on YouTube for the full length album which is something like, I didn't know I needed this or something. But it's that. You don't know, like you open this up and you think, is it just a music box? And then after 15 minutes only, you're sort of thinking, it's just a music box. I've never been happier. I don't know how he does it. He was, man, he's one of them that I wish I'd met. Honestly.
Cool.
Oh yeah, this is my most left field guess of all time, maybe.
Okay.
And I say that because it's not even a joke. It's not like I'm saying Craig David like the old days. I couldn't quite figure out what was being said. I wasn't sure if it was French. It might have been French. And so based on the back of that, I said, I'm not even sure if she is French. But I know she has an accent. So I said this is Nico, i.e. Velvet Underground,
yes.
and the only thing I could make up that sounded somewhat English was the phrase called life. So I put that down. Or not English, decipherable to my ears anyway. 1981, Alt Dance. Possibly the first time I ever put that. 197th.
They do sound similar, Nico and this artist.
So I'm not an idiot.
No. I think they do sound similar. They've got that sort of deeper female voice.
Yeah.
This is, and I use this because you've used this artist as a guess a few times. It's Stereolab.
This is it.
This is it.
This is
What it is. It is French, I'm pretty sure.
Because you've said it's an album that uses different languages. Yeah.
Is Nico German?
I thought she might be German. I don't know, but I'll look it up. I'll tell you.
Yeah, this track is called Miss Modular. It's my favourite off the album. Art pop. I could put a few things. I might give you Alt Dance just because
Think about it. It's not the best guess I've ever made.
It's quite hard to decipher what the actual genre is, I think, though. Because I remember mentioning to you before, it feels like a uni group dissertation in that
You have said that, yeah.
not in like a bad way, just in that it's clear that there are a lot of different musicians from
Nico
different
was from
backgrounds.
Köln, by the way.
From Köln,
Or
from
Cologne. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes, okay. I was going to say yeah. It sounds like from a lot of different musicians of a lot of different backgrounds. Because the bass is quite sort of jazzy. The vocals are French, obviously. And then backing music just isn't really similar. But it's a nice, coalescing of different things. 1997 is when it came out. It's 199th on my list. It's pretty low, but you're in the range for it.
I don't know how I've
good.
managed that, yeah.
It's their very popular album, Dots and Loops.
It is very popular.
A lot of people say it's one of the very inspiring indie albums.
I think people say that it was a trendsetter sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I wasn't around in 1997.
You weren't?
I was yet to be born, no.
Maybe even considered.
Yeah, maybe. And so I don't really know the importance of this album's impact. When I listen to it, I don't hear a lot of other stuff in it, but I can totally see why this could be very influential for indie music. So, yeah, it's decent. It's not one that I think is going to move up, really. Like, it's good. I'm not massive over it. Yeah, is what it is. And I'll give you. I'll stick with my original thing. I'll give you 2 points.
Thank you. That's very generous. Thank you. What I would say about this is it's the importance of not allowing someone else's opinion on music to impact yours, which sounds like an insult, but it's not. In that, for instance, Stereolab are on my list, and I know you're saying you're not too dazzled by them, sort of thing. And I could sit here and I could go, oh, well, then maybe I might as well just skip them. But then I might miss the best
still
song
worth
I've ever
listening to,
heard, sort of thing. So, just go your own way. Fleetwood Mac it.
I think the importance of an album like this is enough to show you that, it shouldn't matter what I think about it. It's one that you'll probably get to anyway.
You heard it here first, guys. Ignore what Chris thinks.
Ignore my opinion.
Yes.
This last one, I think, was Vampire Weekend. I'm not going to be confident anymore by saying this is who it is.
After the grizzly bear incident.
Yeah, I
listen, Chris, cheer up, chin up, cheer up, chin up, cheer up, right?
Can't remember what I said, but yeah, Vampire Weekend. I guess it was called Never Found, the song. I'm not sure. Indie rock, played it safe. 2021, I put that because it gives me the range of their new album and a little bit before that, just in case it's something else. And I do think it's their newest album. I think you've got to it. Only God Was Above Us, I think is the name.
It is what it's called, yeah.
And I guessed it was number 109. I thought it was pretty high-ish.
It is their new album. It is very good. It's going to grow further, but off the back of the first couple of listens, it's still respectable, but I think it will go higher. I need to properly assess it. It's currently 154.
That's pretty good, yeah.
So this is Vampire Weekend. It's my favourite track off the album, Connect. 2024, art pop, baroque pop, indie pop, 154th, Only God Was Above Us. I'm going to say right off the bat that is 3 points.
Cheers.
This is what the new abnormal for the Strokes was for Vampire Weekend. This is their album where they're all a bit older, they're all a bit wiser, they've returned to music, and now the music has a tone of, well, it's wisdom, and it faces aging and change, which is not something I think they've properly looked at before. There's all been a lot of prep and all of this that you come to expect with Vampire Weekend. But now, I mean, this, it feels like it's a song in particular, this one, where Ezra Koenig is sort of going, I've gotten older, something's changed, I can't connect with whatever he's talking about in the same way that I once could. Where's the spark gone? Sort of thing. I mean, it's more obvious on other tracks where he's got the last one, which is, it's just called Hope, I think, where he's talking about aging, and the hook is, I hope you let it go, I hope you let it go, your enemy's invincible, time, I hope you let it go. Forget what's gone, or forget things that you want that you might not get, just live, is what he's saying, right? Which I think is a good message. It's difficult one to attain, but it's a good message nonetheless. I like the newfound wisdom in the songwriting. I really appreciate it. And he still sounds the same, and the band still sounds as incredible as they ever did. And they had that popular direction with Father of the Bride, which I've gone off the more years have gone by since its release. It's still good, but not my favourite. When I listened to this, I did have a "we are so back" moment. I did have that. I had this Vampire. They're alive. Yeah, they're alive. It's like I'm listening to M79 again. Right.
That's nice.
I fell in love with it immediately, and which is why I'm certain it will keep going up, and it may overtake other albums. Who knows? By them. Connect is a highlight. It's such a highlight. Final shout out to me. It's my first full-length article with Atwood Magazine. Nice. I talk about this track, yes. Yeah. Go read it. Read it now. Anyway.
Okay.
Guys, it's unpaid. It's... Anyway.
You might like it. You might like it.
Well, you might know, but listen, it's not me, as I say, I don't think, I'm not sort of here going, I'm a genius, I'm the best writer in the world. It's just, I've written something, you want to read it, you can.
I do, right. I mean, this is something that, I know you enjoy doing, so...
That's why Music of the Week exists,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. So do go and listen to it.
This may well be this week's
go and read it, rather,
yeah. I don't know. I've been waiting to use this for a while, so maybe I will make it Music of the Week. But yes, Vampire Weekend are back. I couldn't be happier. 3 points, I think. I said.
Yes, thank you.
3 points.
Appreciate it.
And the final hurdle, I thought I recognised two voices.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of them was Mr. Earl, or what we will call him here in the UK, Earl Jumper.
Mm-hmm. The Earl of Jumper.
The Earl of Jumper, as we would call him in England, in Old Blighty. But then I thought maybe he was a feature, but then it could be the other way around. So I might have shot myself in the foot. Maybe you'll give me half a point. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me giving you thoughts. You make your own decision. I said Anderson .Paak because I thought that was the singer I heard.
Okay.
I said Same Old High, 2016. I said hip hop, but also R&B because of the split between what I thought was Earl Sweatshirt and who I thought was Anderson .Paak. And what did I say for ranking? I remember you having an Anderson .Paak album fairly high, so I said 80th.
Okay. This is a very recent album. There's been a rollout recently of singles for this album, and it's been one I've been anticipating for a while because the album that this leads off of is one of my favourites. I really like. I think it's really good, and so how am I not going to be excited for this one? Basically, this is No Worries.
Oh my goodness!
It's their new album.
Okay, so it's Anderson. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah. You get a point for Anderson .Paak. Yeah.
Had a moment of just I've completely. Hang on, no wait, he's in that.
Yes, it's Anderson .Paak and Knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My favourite beat maker of all time. Walk On By is the name of the track.
We've both got 2024 albums at the end, which is
I think
nice.
that's quite nice. Yeah, it's featuring Earl Sweatshirt. You were correct. And someone else called Ray Khalil, who you don't hear on the extract, but
I don't
they
recognise
sing
the
on
name.
it too. I don't either. Hip hop / R&B 2024. This is currently at number 112. The album's called Why Lord.
Spelled Lawd, which always amuses me as a spelling for Lord.
In reference to the initial album, which is called Yes Lord, also spelt the same. And you might be asking, well, why is the, first it was Yes Lord, why is it now Why Lord? That's weird. It's because Anderson .Paak's been going through a divorce recently.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
But he's so sexy.
He's so fine.
He is. I don't get it. Is it Bruno Mars? Is it his fault? Because he's sexy too.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is Bruno Mars' fault. But yes, what I will say is that theme comes up a lot on this album in different sort of ways. In some ways, it's endearing, and it's sort of him looking at it and thinking, I still have a lot of love for you. It's a shame that
this has happened.
This has had to happen. Yeah. And there's other ones which I think, I can see why some people might like it, but it's not really my thing. Like, there's one song called Here I Am, where the whole point of it is to be like, I'm single now, everybody. Look at me, I'm single. Come get it.
Take my pants off.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. That's basically the thing.
Free
of the
range.
song, which is like, okay, sure.
Get a raffle ticket. Draw the right number. Here we go. That's such an Anderson .Paak song, man.
It is such an Anderson .Paak song, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'll say they're both on excellent form. Both Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. Knowledge's beats on this are so smooth, so nice. I still love that they've carried on the thing that they did on Yes Lord, in that basically every track feeds into the next, like perfect, like seamlessly, which is really cool. I really like it. Anderson .Paak lyrically, I think, is really on form. There's quite a few tracks on here where he just raps.
Sweet.
I don't think he had any of those on Yes Lord. I think what Yes Lord lacked in some areas was that some tracks just felt like Knowledge beats with like Anderson .Paak lyrics on them, if that makes sense. Like, there's tracks like Cutlass, which Anderson .Paak has like 2 lines on, but it's like repeated, and so it feels like it's still a Knowledge beat, just with an added layer on it. Whereas with this, they're all like well thought out songs and stuff, and it's a real vibe. I only listened to this the other day,
And
but-
already in the 110s.
Yeah,
is
well, I
remarkable.
thought it's really good. It's probably musically, I probably prefer it to the other one, but the other one has a lot of sentimental value.
Yeah.
So, it's it's obviously going to lack that in that I've only listened to it a few days ago.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I did watch the Anthony Fantana review for it, because I was intrigued to see. He rates it really highly, which is really cool.
Rare agreement. Wow.
I mean, he thought the last one was pretty good too, but I do totally agree that this is great. The first track has Dave Chappelle on it. Which is interesting.
Amazing.
Which I think he's been a bit outspoken recently.
Yeah, he's
about
drawn
certain
quite a lot
things.
of controversy.
Yeah.
I look. Let me make this clear. I said amazing because I was surprised at his feature. I'm not
Yes.
agreeing with any of his thoughts.
Yeah.
My opinions are my own. You have no idea what they are.
Sort
Yes.
of like an American Ricky Gervais, I guess.
Who I do not like myself.
If you deep what I'm saying.
If I deep what yes,
yeah.
G.
But
Yes.
I like his inclusion on the first track. It's quite, it's just like basically like a paragraph long of just him saying something. But it's interesting. It was something I noticed about the Fantana reviews. He didn't really like it, and he didn't understand what it was. And in essence, it's him saying he has a Dave Chappelle has a problem with the word deserve. And he highlights that when he sees someone less fortunate than him, he can look at them and go, I'm blessed that I've not had to deal with the hardships of this person. And he can look at someone more successful from it than him and go, oh, I'd love that, right? That'd be great. And that's, for me, that's what it boils down to ultimately. And I guess he's sort of saying, what does it mean to deserve something? Do these people deserve the hardships in life that they've been given? Does this person deserve being more successful than I am? I mean, he's an incredibly successful comic, right?
Very, very successful. I mean, comedy in the US is a complete. I mean, we get very successful comedy here in the UK, but the US, they are rock stars.
Yeah.
Like you won't see comedy tours like that with English comedians. You just don't. It's insane.
Absolutely. And I think Fantano took it in a way that it felt more sort of narcissistic, in a way that it felt like it was sort of looking down. I mean, you can go and watch the review yourself and make your own opinion. But it was from my initial reading into it that it seemed a certain way, and I thought, oh, that's okay. For some reason, I watched a review before listening to the album. I don't know why, and I listened to the album and went. Actually,
sometimes you just want to know what to think.
Exactly, yeah. But in this essence, I listened to it and I went, actually, I don't really see what he's saying here. I actually quite like his inclusion on it. I don't think it comes across the way that he thinks it does. But no, rest of the album's good. There's a Snoop Dogg feature.
What's not to like? It's the perfect album.
I mean, I'm going to be listening to this album quite a bit at the moment. It's really cool. It's got them summer vibes as well, which is nice.
Summer vibes.
Knowledge keeps it fresh the whole way through. A nice amount of dropping and changing of different kinds of beats. Because I guess in this sort of context, you'd think, just very chill, and that is it for the most part. But there's some beats that feel more like they push something other than R&B. Like there's some that feel more, I guess, sort of slow jam, vaporwave-ish funk sort of stuff. It's nice, is what I'm trying to say. It's nice. It's consistent. You're going to get a lot of nice songs on there. Listen to it on the way to yours today, and I enjoyed it.
Wow.
So I'm not going to say too much more. But yes, it is one that I will be listening to a lot. And I'll give you 2 points.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And that concludes the game.
We've come to the bit that, I don't know, maybe if we do accrue certain popularity, maybe we will get a fan base that, much like with Fantana videos, click right to the end just to know what the score
just
is.
to see the scores, yeah. Although
really hope Fred wins this one. He's my favourite. Oh, he lost.
Instead of skipping 2 hours, you're skipping 10 minutes in Fantano's case, I guess. But yeah.
2 hours of content that you couldn't care less about.
Okay, I've got mine. Cool.
I'm interested to know what the highest score one of us has ever gotten. Because we rarely break into the 30s,
We don't,
for
no.
instance. No one ever has an absolute stormer. It's going to happen at some point. Just by chance, it
Depends
will.
on the kind of game, I guess. But yeah. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, I had a feeling.
Oh,
Has
wow.
that happened before?
I think it has. Not on a podcast, but
We don't tie break, do we? We just...
we don't. Well, it'd be hard to tie break.
right. Quickly get an extract. We have tied, ladies and gentlemen. Which really is what the game is all about.
Yeah, this is how the game is supposed to end.
This is the good ending. This is
the good ending of the Whiteboard game. Yeah.
You get a Fred ending, you get a Chris ending, you get the bad ending, whereas when files go missing, and this is the good ending.
Yeah.
22 points apiece. I had a feeling. I know I'd got quite a few threes, but you'd had some big scorers and some low scorers balancing out, and I thought, I think this is going to level, and it has.
It has, yeah. Well,
22 each. First time on a podcast that we've had a draw.
Yeah. I think.
So this is it. The Whiteboard game ends here. It ends in peace, harmony, and then the Fire Nation attack. God, that's the nerdiest reference I've made on one of these podcasts.
I didn't even get it.
That's an Avatar reference.
Oh wow!
The animated series, especially, is what I'm thinking of. And then the Fire Nation attacked. Yes. Anyway, now that I'm embarrassed, someone is listening to your Spotify, Chris, and they're listening to the Idio Twin EP.
That will be. I think that might be one of my brothers.
I've got a lot of respect for your brothers. I don't know if I've ever said that before. They are listening to the saddest one on the EP, so more luck to them.
I do hope they're in a good place mentally.
Yes.
Anyways.
Closing remarks?
GG. Very good game again.
Very good game. Well played.
Hope you listening took something from the game as well. Maybe if it's just a song that you like, you might listen to an album that we've mentioned. Please do. We hope that you enjoyed it.
Well, I completely agree. You know, I hope you found something you like, or at the very least, leave this podcast in the knowledge that Vampire Weekend are back, and so are no worries. we're here, folks.
Yeah.
Yes. So, based on the time of release / recording of this, if it hasn't already passed, come and see us at the Hope and Anchor in Islington on the 17th of July, and donate to our fundraiser with Hotvox and War Child, which, if it's not the end of July, will still be up. You can get special rewards if you donate a certain amount, and it's all for a very good cause. It will be on the Hotvox website somewhere. Just have a little scan, or check out our social media. I'm sure as soon as the link's available to us, we will make it available to you as well. I think that's it.
Cool.
I hope you're enjoying the hot weather more than we are. But with nothing more to say, all that is left to say, as is always left to say at the end, especially when we draw, I think it rings truer than ever.
Yeah.
Whiteboard game. We've never done this while staring at each other.
This is weird, yeah.
Forever.